What good folks, it's Darktree19 and welcome back to another What If Naruto Gain a Symbiote. So like, comment, subscribe and share, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 12 Questionable Actions. Naruto was web swinging through the trees near Taki. The forest area surrounding the country and keeping the small village itself from harm was in fact the perfect place for Naruto to swing through. He could move left or right at any point while swinging on his web line. Naruto knew he could also leap from tree to tree with his amazing agility, but felt that web swinging was more fun, and even good training for when he would need to move around in close quarters like this. With his senses and Kyuubi's help, the Uzumaki was confident he could find Fu before things got too harsh for the girl living in this small shinobi village. If his childhood was anything to go by, Fu was in the same boat as him, if not worse, and the blonde felt it was his duty to protect a fellow Jinchuriki from harm. He did it for Yugito, and it was only fair that Fu was saved from harm too. Naruto. Hey! Slow down, Gaki. Not all of us can move as fast as you, called out Jiraiya several hundred feet behind Naruto. Not our problem, you're becoming an old man, Uro-senin, Naruto countered while he was swinging along the trees and getting closer to his target. Damn, Gaki. Not everyone is 16 years old, an Uzumaki, has stamina of that clan, has it all enhanced by a symbiotic organism, and is a Jinchuriki of Kyuubi. The Gaki will no doubt be able to outrun people when he's an old man like Sensei, thought Jiraiya, since he had been to Whirlpool during the time it was running strong and saw the elderly moving like they were a third of their actual age. Hey Fox, do you know where this girl is hiding out? I feel I'm getting close, but I think she's also on to me, and is masking her presence, thought Naruto, as he swung to a tree, and latched onto it while looking around for the female Jinchuriki. Hard to say. She's good at masking her presence. No doubt from years of practice, replied Kyuubi while Naruto narrowed his eyes at that. And not the good kind of practice either when you consider just how Jinchuriki are treated, stated Venom while Naruto and Kyuubi both agreed with him. Hide or be hurt, thought Naruto, knowing that mobs of people itching to hurt you was perfect motivation to master such a skill at such a young age. This forest was perfect for someone like Fu. She's nearby, Kit. The girl is very close to the point where you could probably call out to her, stated Kyuubi, as he could sense the seven-tailed bijou now, and the giant insect's chakra was all over this area. Come on out, Fu. We came here to talk, Naruto called out to the girl. Like I haven't heard that before today, replied Fu sarcastically deep from within the trees. We're not an enemy. We are a friend. We just want to talk. Nothing more. Naruto while sensing Fu move around silently from within the shadows of the forest. I've heard that one before too. Do you know what happened the last time someone said that to me? They tried to kill me, exclaimed Fu hotly, and Naruto sighed knowing that it happened to him growing up. And like a stray dog being kicked after being coerced into being offered a treat, Naruto didn't believe anyone who said those words either. Because you're a Jinchuriki, like us, replied Naruto before moving to dodge a swarm of kunai aimed at him. Why would another Jinchuriki seek me out? Asked Fu while throwing more kunai at Naruto. Stop throwing things at us and we'll tell you, answered Naruto while dodging more and more projectiles before they suddenly stopped. You have 5 minutes, replied Fu while getting ready to throw more weapons at him if he didn't start talking. That's all we need. The reason we are here is to inform you of the organization known as the Akatsuki. The group consists of S-class missing nin with unique abilities that allow them to take down Jinchuriki by negating the chakra of the bijou. If they haven't already targeted you, then they will soon enough, and if they capture you, they will extract your bijou from your body with the end result killing the host body, explained Naruto while he sensed Fu being hesitant to believe him. Why should I believe you? Why should I trust anything you say? Just because you're a supposed Jinchuriki doesn't mean I'm going to take your words at face value, replied Fu, knowing anyone could claim to be someone or something to convince others of things that might not be true in the slightest. Ask your bijou if we are lying. If you are connected as deeply with your demon as we are without our own, then you will know if our words are false, answered Naruto and waited for his answer. What do you think? Should we trust him? Thought Fu to Chome and awaiting an answer from the bijou. He speaks the truth, young larva. I sense no lying in this one. If this organization is after us and can nullify my ability to aid you combat, we may have a serious problem, replied Chome, and sensed Fu was going to trust Naruto, if only to a certain extent, since there was always a chance for betrayal. My bijou says you are telling the truth. Now that you've talked to me, I respectfully ask you to leave, and not come back, said Fu, and Naruto shook his head. We can't leave yet. Not without you, answered Naruto before moving to dodge more projectiles. I knew it. You want to capture me for some sick purpose, don't you? exclaimed Fu while moving quickly after throwing more projectiles and decided to get in close combat to battle the nimble Kyuubi Jinchuriki. No. We would never do that to a fellow Jinchuriki, countered Naruto while sensing trouble and leapt back to avoid Fu from slicing through his neck with a kunai. Then why do you want to take me away from my village? Asked Fu while trying to land a hit on her opponent. So you can live in ours where it is safe. Answered Naruto before taking out a kunai of his own and began to parry the female Jinchuriki's kunai. As what? Judging from your headband you are from Konoha. Does your Hokage want another Jinchuriki for a weapon that badly? Questioned Fu while missing several strikes to Naruto's body and the blonde leapt over her with unnatural agility. No. If anything, she wanted us to inform you of the Akatsuki, and then leave you alone to fend them off the two they send by yourself since taking you with us would cause possible political problems for the Leaf. We wish you to return with us to Konoha for a better life. Ni Yugito formerly of Kumo is already living with us as we speak in the Namikaze clan estates and has been happy there for quite some time, answered Naruto and the green-haired woman eyes him with caution. Truth be told, Fu had heard that rumor about what happened in Kumo, and wasn't sure if there was any truth to it. Kumo had been raising all kinds of hell in the last 3 years, which was one of the reasons why the blonde was sent off to train with Jiraiya for that duration of time, and things began to quiet down. And if I do go with you back to Konoha? What happens next? Taki won't take this lying down, replied Fu and Naruto let out a chuckle. They will if they know what's good for them. They've abused you and made your life miserable. Not to mention you being out here means they don't let you into the village like you're some kind of fucking pet. You're Taki's guard dog. Their pet. You heal when they say heal. You fetch when they say fetch. They want you to roll over, play dead, and some of them probably want you dead for real. Are we right? Exclaimed Naruto with killer intent from Fu rising, and it was clear she did not like being called those kind of names. I'm going to kill you, yelled Fu, as she charged forward, and began lashing out at Naruto with the blonde moving much faster now to dodge her attacks. Why? Because what we have said is true. That they treat you like that? Questioned Naruto while seeing Fu's eyes were filled with tears. Yes they do. Alright? Are you happy now? I hate my life. I hate Taki, but I can't leave because if I do they'll hunt me down, and make my life worse, exclaimed Fu, as she got through his defense, and hit Naruto with a shoulder block before straddling the blonde with a kunai to his throat. We are so like you it's not even funny. We were like that too once. We did everything that was required of us and then some with no respect for it at all. We barely had a home that was occasionally vandalized and what valuables we had were stolen to be destroyed while they laughed at us. They felt demons shouldn't have any valuables. That we should be lucky to be alive and breath while under the rule of the superior species as they kept on claiming they were in their eyes, replied Naruto and saw Fu was looking right in the eyes for any kind of lie. So why leave one hellhole for another? Asked Fu with the kunai in her hand pressing harder against his throat. Because our hellhole is being cleaned up. Our hellhole is going to change soon and we are in the middle of changing it. Do you really want to be here while that happens? To wait for the Akatsuki to come here? After you? To capture you? Extract your bijou from your body and then throw your corpse away like it was trash? Konoha can protect you. We can protect you. The Hokage is our godmother. She will not allow them to take you, Yugito, or us for their own sick plans, answered Naruto with Fu narrowing her eyes even further at him. Why are you speaking in third person to me this whole time? Asked Fu while Naruto just raised an eyebrow at her. Because we are the host to more than one being, answered Naruto before his shinobi outfit shifted to his human venom-looking form. What the hell? Asked Fu in surprise and even Chome was shocked too. We are the host to a powerful symbiote named Venom, the reason why we are speaking to you in third person, answered Naruto to Fu's surprised question before recalling the mask from his face. You really are full of surprises, said Fu before removing the kunai from his throat. We get that a lot. Now if you would please remove yourself from our person, replied Naruto while motioning for Fu to get off his lap. What? Oh. Sorry. Sorry, exclaimed Fu, as she realized how awkward her position was with him right now, and leapt right off his body. It's alright. Now where the hell is that damn Uro-Sennin? Asked Naruto while getting off the ground and looking around for Jiraiya. Uro-Sennin? Questioned Fu with Naruto smirking at her. Jiraiya of the Sannin. Don't let him fool you though, the man is a self-proclaimed super pervert, and is proud of the fact along with being an author to the Icha Paradise book series he writes while peeping on women for his research as he likes to call it, answered Naruto with Fu's eyes narrowing with female fury behind them. See, replied Fu before the Sannin himself appeared before them looking boisterous and happy to see them. Hey Gaki. I see you found the girl. Nice. You're a real babe magnet, exclaimed Jiraiya before he found himself on his knees, crying out in pain like a girl after Fu kicked him in the nuts, and soon slumped over from blacking out in the aftermath. I'll go with you to Konoha. If it's better there than my life here in Taki like you claim and you're offering protection from persecution, I'm not going to pass it up. But if you screw me over and this is some kind of trap meant to make me into some kind of weapon for your village, you will wish you were in the pervert's place right now, said Fu and was getting in Naruto's face while pointing at Jiraiya's twitching form. Betraying you never crossed our mind, replied Naruto calmly with Fu still being wary of him since trust was a major issue for her. Like it had been for him. Konoha sometime later, Tsunade's eyebrow was violently twitching. How could it not? Naruto had brought the female Jinchuriki from Taki to Konoha despite what she wished for him to do from the start and just informing her about the Akatsuki. Instead, Naruto takes Fu away from her village to this one, and it wouldn't be long before Taki started complaining to her about it. Did Naruto look worried? No. This was like a regular day for him and quite frankly it was pissing the Hokage off. She loved the Gaki. Tsunade honestly did, but this was now getting out of hand, and the blonde Jinchuriki was becoming a source of it all because he was doing things that ruffled a lot of feathers from people in high places. However, at the same time, Tsunade could see why Naruto did what he did, and couldn't fault him for wanting to change the status quo because it was horrible for Jinchuriki. And Naruto and Fu were Jinchuriki. You do realize your actions could start a war, right? Asked Tsunade while sounding like it was taking quite a bit of effort to hold back the desire to punch him halfway to the other side of the world. And you do realize that Fu isn't loved in Taki and the Akatsuki would have taken her without any resistance from the village? Countered Naruto with Tsunade letting out a sigh while looking over at Fu currently staring back at her cautiously with calculating eyes. So much like her father. She has his eyes and tan skin. Must have gotten the green hair from her mother, thought Tsunade before looking over at Naruto again with a frown on her face. She's not happy with us kid, said Kyuubi inside Naruto's head. I know Fox. But I'm not about to let the Akatsuki win and get a fellow Jinchuriki killed because I didn't do anything when I know I could have done something, thought Naruto and Kyuubi sighed knowing he had a point. Someone long ago once said the only way for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And I believe it. If Naruto here didn't bring the girl here, the Akatsuki would have nabbed her, and evil would be one step closer to victory, said Venom and saw the fox nodding since that was the case. In any case Naruto, I am not happy this happened, even if I do understand your reason for it, said Tsunade while Naruto nodded. We weren't about to have her be taken by the Akatsuki. It's bad enough each village hate every Jinchuriki they've ever made, but to be hunted, and no one from the villages lifting a finger is even worse. We decided to change things and will challenge anyone that dares to stop us, countered Naruto and saw Tsunade narrowing her eyes at the hidden threat. He would fight her if need be in the event she didn't side with him on this matter. I'm not going to stop you Naruto. If anything, I personally like what you're doing since my grandfather gave each shinobi village a bijou to promote peace, and they have been turned into weapons of war. However, as a Hokage, I have to focus on what is good for the village, and what you did in bringing Fu here is not healthy for Konoha, explained Tsunade with Naruto nodding. If it becomes a problem, we will deal with it, and ensure Konoha doesn't get hurt too much, replied Naruto with a grin and saw Tsunade scowl at him for that last part. I know you still have issues regarding Konoha and its people Naruto, but, please don't let the people living here get hurt simply out of spite. Not everyone deserves it and you know that much is true, stated Tsunade and Naruto nodded in understanding. We understand Granny. It's just we are tired of people seeing us as some kind of monster without a family to call our own or them questioning the claims of our heritage. We feel that the history of Konoha to acknowledge the contributions of the Uzumaki clan and their connection to Konoha since its founding. The people in Konoha need to be properly reminded of our family's contributions and how they spit on the legacy of our family. It is high time the people of Konoha know the significance of the whirlpool symbol some of them wear on their shinobi clothing and even the leaf symbol that was adopted by this village. It's time to remind them of the past and how ungrateful they have been to us in the present, replied Naruto and Tsunade winced knowing that was something the councils had been adamant in removing when the Sandaime came out of retirement after Kyuubi attacked. They wanted to make sure Naruto didn't have knowledge of his lost family or any right to claim anything in Konoha that he was entitled to should he wish to claim it. I'll make that known that you can expect resistance on the matter when it is brought before the councils though the clan heads will support you in the matter, said Tsunade with Naruto raising an eyebrow at her. And you? Asked Naruto with Tsunade looking surprised by the question. What do you mean? Questioned Tsunade. Will you support us regarding that matter when it comes to voting? Asked Naruto with Tsunade looking down. I can't, answered Tsunade with Naruto scowling angrily, and so was Fu, though more out of confusions on her part than anger. Can't or won't? Asked Naruto with Tsunade sighing. I can't, Naruto. At least, unless it comes down to a tie as stated by Konoha law. I can at least push for the motion to make it happen, but I can't vote on the matter unless it comes down to a tie. When the motion to remove Whirlpool and the Uzumaki clan from the history books was made during the meeting shortly after the Sandaime Hokage came out of retirement, the clan heads with the exception of the Uchiha clan were the only ones fighting the motion. Unless you can get some of the councils to side with the motion to reverse the decision to the point of a tie, explained Tsunade and let her answer hang in the air. You can't vote and we get fucked, Naruto finished for her, and the Hokage could only nod. The only way you could sway them is if you gave enough of those members on each of the councils something to make it worth their while, explained Tsunade with Naruto letting out a sigh. And we don't want to give them anything. At least, not something we have that they would want. Unless, stated Naruto, and it was clear to the other two were seeing his brain burning with an idea. Unless what, Naruto? Asked Tsunade, knowing the Gaki had something. They want the Uchiha's bloodline unsealed so he can revive his clan, right? Then we let them have it, in exchange for what we want, answered Naruto with Tsunade looking at him like he was crazy. Maybe he was, if only a little. After that damn traitor tried to leave Konoha? Why would I even consider giving them a chance to breed more traitors? Questioned Tsunade while Naruto smirked at her. Relax, Granny. Just because you unseal his bloodline doesn't mean he'll get any girls to have his children. The councils may not see it, but we do. Support for the Uchiha clan is down to an all-time low since information about how the Uchiha were really traitors to Konoha was made public, answered Naruto with Tsunade nodding, knowing that was true, and the Uchiha clan name was considered almost as low in terms of respect in the village as Orochimaru's had been when he went traitor after his twisted experimentation was made known. The only one wanting to be with Sasuke was Sakura, even after Tsunade took her along with Hinata on as students, and only tolerated the girl's devotion because of her talent, not unlike the Hokage's own for the medical arts. Tsunade had made it clear to Sakura that she was to keep her opinions about Sasuke and Naruto to herself if she wanted to learn how to be a great medic. So far, the pink-haired Kunoichi had kept her opinion about the two, one positive, about Sasuke, one negative, about Naruto, to herself when around the Hokage, but that didn't stop Sakura from speaking about them to the public, and sadly for Tsunade, she couldn't shut the girl up no matter how much she wanted. And Tsunade really wanted to shut Sakura up. So in return for them giving you what they want and you give them what they want, all the while knowing what they want is going to be next to impossible. It's still risky. They could demand one of the girls living at the Namikaze estates be used to have the Uchiha's offspring, replied Tsunade, and saw Fu's eyebrow twitch at the mention of the women living with Naruto. We understand. Our answer of course will be no. If they don't like it, then tough crap for them, and their future plans with the Sharingan. We are younger than all of them and can outlive their decision. My future descendants and the descendants of my descendants can make the push in my place if this becomes a long-run battle, stated Naruto, knowing that might be the case. Hopefully it won't come to that, and what you are offering them will be enough to make them add the history of your clan back into the fold of Konoha's history, replied Tsunade, and saw the young man nod. There is only one way to find out, Naruto shot back with a smile. And in regards to me? Asked Fu while pointing at herself. You will be staying at the Namikaze estates for a while until things blow over with this situation regarding Taki and the Akatsuki organization. Lucky for you, the residents of the place are female by majority, so don't worry about any perverts leering at you, replied Tsunade with Naruto snickering after Fu let out a sigh of relief. Well, no worries about male perverts anyway. We wouldn't let your guard down around Anko, Kin, Tenten, or Tamari since they've openly become female perverts in my house. We would stop them, but, well, they spoil me too much, replied Naruto with a chuckle, and Fu looked fearful while Tsunade looked angry. Because you corrupted them, exclaimed Tsunade, in the belief women were corrupted into being female perverts by male perverts so they could get away with perverse things like peeping on women. Prove it, Naruto shot back, and Tsunade growled at him. Sadly, I can't prove it. Not yet, answered Tsunade in defeat. Game and match, the victory goes to us. Come Fu. Let's leave the defeated of this verbal spar to drink herself away while doing paperwork, exclaimed Naruto while he grabbed Fu and was web swinging across Konoha with the girl being held in his one arm. Tsunade herself fumed before reaching for some sake to drink, only to find it was gone. Damn you, Naruto, yelled Tsunade furiously, knowing he had taken it when she wasn't looking. Either that or it was Shizune. Hokage Tower. Sometime later, sure enough, the councils were drooling over the idea of having the Uchiha being able to access his bloodline, and impregnate some women to produce Uchiha heirs. Of course, when the terms of what the Hokage was asking in return after Naruto told them would have to be given, they weren't thrilled. Not surprising really. The idea of giving anything to Naruto left a sour taste in their mouth, but those were the terms Tsunade dictated to the councils, and it was clear some were refusing flat out. Namely the councilwoman Haruno Mebuki. She had actually been the one to suggest that Whirlpool Country and the Uzumaki clan altogether be removed from the pages of history. Not just to spite Naruto, though it was the primary reason, it was also done to erase the memory of Kushina from the Leaf Village, and make what the Uzumaki clan gave them as a gift become a natural part of Konoha. With history altered or removed regarding such things, Konoha wouldn't have to have the shame of being given such gifts. Konoha could claim them as their own and no one would be the wiser within another generation or two, with Mebuki being able to say on her deathbed she won a major victory over Uzumaki Kushina along with her bastard of a child. Why should we let Whirlpool Country and the Uzumaki clan be made known to our children? Whirlpool Country is dead and the Uzumaki bloodline itself has been reduced to a mere trickle. They have no power. It's a waste of money, resources, and I for one will not stand for it one bit, exclaimed Mebuki, and she glared at Naruto currently sitting at the Namikaze/Uzumaki clan seat now that he was old enough to be the clan head of both of them. Careful what you say about the Uzumaki clan when in our presence, Haruno-san. Do not forget the Uzumaki Mito was Hokage-sama's grandmother. By insulting our clan, you insult not only the Hokage, but her grandmother too. Naruto shot back and saw the woman shutting her mouth. That is true. In fact, not many people, or even the younger generation, know much about the Uzumaki clan these days. Several of the younger generation have even begun asking the teachers at the academy about the clan and they have been unable to answer, replied Aburame Shibi, while seeing many on the councils were sneering at him. The Uzumaki clan have no business being a part of Konoha anymore. It doesn't matter if they were important to the village at one point, Homura spoke now and Naruto scoffed. It's because of Whirlpool Country and the Uzumaki clan that Konoha still exists. Or did the first Shinobi War slip your mind? Naruto countered and saw Homura stiffen, and the blonde Uzumaki knew why. During the first Shinobi War, Konoha had made an alliance with the Uzumaki clan, and the marriage between them with the Senju clan helped solidify it. The Uchiha had been very much against the Uzumaki clan being remotely in Konoha. They considered the clan like the Senju to be the weakest of the three bloodlines that were descended from the Sage of Six Paths, and hated the fact the Rinnegan was from the Uzumaki bloodline that surpassed the Sharingan. Several among the Uzumaki clan had actually unlocked the Rinnegan, but died from quickly overusing it before any could truly understand its power, and record all of its abilities so others could use such knowledge to their advantage in the event others unlocked it later on. However, despite all of this, those who wielded the power of the Rinnegan were able to live long enough to use such power against Iwa and Kumo when the two villages allied against Konoha. The Leaf Village was a mere length of a fingernail away from being defeated when those with the Rinnegan's power flanked both allied villages and crippled the enemy forces at the cost of Uzumaki clan members using the dojutsu their own lives. The end result had made Suna sending an envoy to be a long-standing ally of Konoha and missed to sign a non-aggression pact that lasted until near the end of the Second Shinobi War when Whirlpool was destroyed. During that time, Konoha had prospered, grown strong, and could stand on its own 2 feet instead of being knocked onto its back before having a sword stabbed through its heart. How do you know such things, brat? Donzo asked with his eye locked onto the boy and found his Sharingan had no effect on him. We found our mother's journal in the Namikaze estates. Uzumaki Mito is mentioned in here, and how the woman knew several of the Uzumaki clan members who wielded the Rinnegan to save the Leaf Village before they died of using up their chakra in what many would deem to be a very reckless suicide mission. Kumo and Iwa had Konoha dead to rights in victory before our clan saved it almost literally from the jaws of death. We would think such an important piece of information would be made known to the students at the academy when the Shinobi Wars were brought up by the teachers teaching them the history of Konoha, replied Naruto, and saw Donzo narrow his eye at him while on the council scoffed. That is in the past. The Uchiha is the present and our future. I say we just unseal his bloodline and have several of the women in the Namikaze clan estates be used for the breeding process, said one councilman, and getting nods of approval from the others. And the Uchiha's failed rebellion? The current Uchiha locked away, who plan to leave Konoha for power, and betray the village. Are we just going to forget such things simply because it's an inconvenience only to you? Asked Naruto, with the councils now getting impatient with him. Listen here, you brat. We of the councils will not be exclaimed Koharu before her mouth was webbed shut and a strong layer of webbing was wrapped around her face to keep it there. No. You will listen. That includes all of you. We are sick and tired of you idiots trying to get your way when we both know such attempts not within your power. So do not go around barking orders like you run this village because you don't run it. This is a shinobi village and that means the Hokage runs things. You don't like it? There is the door. Don't let it hit your ass on the way out, exclaimed Naruto while getting up and pointing to the door. How dare you? I will not stand for this outrage. It's bad enough we let this abomination live so long, but to be here as a clan head, and trying to kick us out is the last straw. I demand the demon brat be killed right now, cried out a fat and bald councilman now standing up while pointing a finger at Naruto. I second the motion, said Homura with many other council members doing the same. Enough. No one is executing the son of the Yondaime and Uzumaki Kushina. I will not tolerate this crap anymore, exclaimed Tsunade after slamming her fist down onto the table and blasting the idiots calling for Naruto's death with killer intent. He is a menace. He needs to be controlled, said Koharu, as she finally got the webbing around her mouth off, and decided to voice her opinion. Controlled by whom? You? Your teammate? Donzo? Some civilian who doesn't know a damn thing about being a shinobi? Asked Naruto with the councils glaring hatefully at him. Anyone who knows your place is out our feet like a good pet and weapon like yourself should have been from the start is more than qualified, answered Koharu with Naruto scoffing at her. This is getting nowhere and our patience is running thin. This is a simple give and take on everyone's part. You vote in the return of Whirlpool Country being put back into the history books and the Uzumaki clan being crucial in Konoha having long-term health. In return, the Uchiha gets his bloodline unsealed, and can make you little Uchiha babies that may or may not activate the Sharingan in the distant future, replied Naruto with many on the council seething since they didn't want to give the Uzumaki what he wanted. All they wanted was to take some more, and take until the one they were taking from was hurting from it. Still, they knew that the Uchiha currently in their possession needed to produce heirs to save his bloodline from being wiped out, and since Itachi was not an option, they needed to swallow their pride for the moment. Fine. You can have your filthy clan's name back in the history books and the backwater land they all came from too. I hope you choke on it along with the rest of those demon-loving whores in your home. Shrieked Mebuki angrily before she and the councils left in a fury while glaring at the Uzumaki. Sore losers, mumbled Naruto with the clan heads and the Hokage laughing slightly at his words. It can't be helped, Naruto. At least if the Uchiha does have children, we can make sure they don't act arrogantly, or power-hungry, replied Tsunade and Naruto nodded. Our advice in the event of such children being born would be to treat them all like they were ordinary people. No special privileges like Sasuke got, but don't treat them like crap either like Konoha did us, and just treat them like normal people, said Naruto since it would keep the Uchiha clan from being like the other morons of the Uchiha clan. Agreed. Though this is in the belief the Uchiha will successfully impregnate a woman the councils choose for him, replied Tsunade with a smirk and Naruto returned it. We wouldn't bet on his success if we were you, Granny, replied Naruto with everyone in the room nodding and laughing at the same time while Tsunade fought back the urge to hit him. She knew he'd just dodge it, thanks to his speed, agility, and stupid spider sense. How she hated that last one. Stupid internal premonition-based defense against harmful things that could hurt someone like her fists hitting someone's face when becoming very angry at being called Granny. Oh well. She could just take it out on Jiraiya when she saw him next. The pervert was no doubt peeping in the female section of the hot springs anyway and was overdue for a beatdown. Fan fiction just in community forum v more symbiotic Uzumaki by Snake Spider-Man and Naruto's overrated. English, adventure, and romance, Naruto U, words, 119k plus, faves, 3k plus, follows, 3k plus, published, December 31, 2008 updated. June 15, 2014 1,143 Chapter 13 Picture Perfect, almost Konoha was abuzz with news of another Jinchuriki in Konoha. Not surprising since the councils had made it slip in order to make this one's life just as miserable as Naruto's had been growing up. However, unlike Naruto's life growing up, Fu had friends and allies that were not in the extreme minority, and could only do so much. Since Tsunade took office as Hokage, she had been fixing what the Sandaime had been unable to do after he first came out of retirement following the Yondaime Hokage's death, and make it known that harassing the village Jinchuriki was not tolerated. It had pissed off a great deal of Konoha's populace something fierce, but Tsunade had told them that considering Jinchuriki could alter the landscape of the fighting during a battle. She went even further to explain to the more vocal individuals that when it came to protecting the village, it was best not to make either one ignore their plight should they be in trouble, and need to be saved from certain death. Who would want to save such people? No one that who. In any case, Naruto welcomed Fu into his home, and made sure she knew who to trust in Konoha from those that aren't. The female Jinchuriki formerly of Taki instantly took a liking to the girls in Naruto's home since each of them were strong and didn't take crap from those around them. As for the various males around her, Naruto was like a brother to her, even more so when you consider he was a Jinchuriki just like her, and was very protective in a big brotherly way. Kiba was one of the people Fu was warned about given his nature of wanting to hump any female he thought would spread their legs for him. The Inuzuka had tried to flirt with Fu soon after meeting her, but the girl instantly shut him down, and threatened to go bijou on him if he didn't keep his hands to himself or his thing in his pants when around her. Shikamaru was an okay kind of guy. Not a foe in the shadows, but definitely a lazy kind of man, and yet was a good friend despite his sloth-like nature. She had heard about the men of the Nara clan being genius level in terms of brains, but were constantly afraid of women, and their ability to manifest frying pans to be used as weapons. How they did that, Fu didn't know, but felt it could be an interesting jutsu, if it was one, to learn, and use in a pinch one day. Choji was a nice boy, someone who was caring, and clearly loved all things barbecue related no matter how spicy. The boy also didn't like being called fat or anything that put a bad spin on his size, which Fu could understand since it was like being discriminated just for being a Jinchuriki. In fact, Fu had a friendly eating contest with the boy, and while she did not win the battle, she did make the Akimichi work for it. The boy one who really got her attention though was Shino from the Aburame clan, as he liked all things insects, and had been caught blushing behind his hooded form despite many not seeing it. Fu didn't know why he was blushing at first, being how her former village made sure she knew nothing except hatred, or what it meant to be in a relationship with a boy around her age. It took a while, but Fu got the message when Naruto teased her about how she made Shino show emotions beyond the usual buzzing of his insects. At first, Fu was scared of seeing Shino, or any boy for that matter in such a light given it put her heart in a very vulnerable position. But Chome had assured her that the Aburame would not hurt Fu and to give the boy a chance in terms of a relationship. As for Shino himself, when Fu confronted him about his feelings for her, the poor boy acted in a very unusual manner in not only blushing, but getting on his knees, and bowed while saying he was not worthy of her. If it wasn't so romantic, in its own unusual way, Fu would have found it hysterical, and stopped Shino from making a spectacle of himself. But since this was an Aburame after all, Fu felt she should milk the moment for all it was worth, and just let Shino do his thing. It could have been worse when she thought about it later on. He could have done a humanized version of an insect mating dance, which while it would have interesting, it would have also been embarrassing for the both of them, and it very awkward for the two. So after Shino finished his rambling about being unworthy of such an honor of dating the insect queen which all Aburame worshipped, Fu decided to help him up, tell Shino he was worthy, and gave him a big fat kiss on the lips. Naruto just so happened to be there when the whole thing went down and had a camera to get several pictures following Shino's unique emotional episode with Fu. So with that being said, Naruto gave Shino his blessing to date his surrogate sister, and gave the Aburame boy a warning that if he broke Fu's heart, the blonde would break him before feeding the remains, if any, to hungry flesh-eating insects. A form of poetic and ironic justice, but Naruto felt such a thing warranted it if such an event came to pass, and needed Shino to realize what happens when a venomous spider like himself is crossed. Since then, Fu had been seeing Shino more, with the two becoming extraordinarily close, and Naruto knew it was only a matter of time before she moved into the Aburame clan home. Something the Aburame clan would no doubt be thrilled about this happening with the seven-tailed Jinchuriki, who had the bijou which was secretly the source of their insect-based bloodline many years ago, and considered the supreme master of all things insects living in their home. Of course there was still the issue of Tsunade being around Fu after what happened to the girl's father, as the Hokage felt a bit nervous at telling the young Jinchuriki that she was the very reason the man was dead. Naruto had been told about the situation soon after his original meeting with Tsunade when he came back from Taki, and the blonde knew from his own feelings as a Jinchuriki that he would definitely feel a sense of anger if such a thing happened to him. Which was why he encouraged Tsunade to tell Fu sooner rather than later. If anyone else learned of Tsunade's past history with Fu's father, like say, Donzo, he would use it to turn Fu against Tsunade. It would bring about a sense of distrust and hatred toward the female Hokage, and that was something neither person wanted. When Fu had finally been told the truth behind her father's death, it was clear the girl was downright pissed, and would have probably gone bijou on the woman if not for Naruto's hand on her shoulder. Naruto had explained how Tsunade felt bad about what happened and things had been, well, they got out of hand at the time. He also told Fu that Tsunade wanted to make it up to her for such stupid drunken actions and give the Hokage a chance. I'm doing this because I trust Naruto and he trusts you. Don't think I'll be your best buddy or even respect you anytime soon. It had been directed at Tsunade with anger, which resulted in the woman flinching like she had been slapped, but at the time those words were spoken, Fu didn't really care, and walked out of the Hokage's office when it happened while trying to keep the impulse to rip the woman's throat out. Fortunately, over the time span of a few months that followed the incident, Fu had let the anger she felt for the Hokage go, and focus on other matters. Namely dealing with the councils, all of their bigotry, all of their bullshit, and of course the very much civilianized Uchiha Sasuke currently trying to seduce, if you could call it that, her into dating him, and gaining some measure of power back. He figured with Fu being under his control, the Hokage would see the greatness of the Uchiha clan, and have Jiraiya undo the sealing on his body that kept his Sharingan suppressed. Sasuke was still a shinobi, if just barely due to his probationary period he was under, but could only do missions in the village, and in his mind he might as well be a civilian since being able to use his Sharingan eyes meant everything to him. Will you leave me alone, Sasuke? I don't care about you and never will, so stop trying to convince me that us being in a relationship is for the best, said Fu angrily while Sasuke tried to act humble, contrite, and honest when around her while Chome told the girl what she already knew. The Uchiha wanted her for personal gain. Why? I'm an Uchiha. Descended from a great clan. Surely you want to be part of it? To have children you can say are proudly descended of the Uchiha clan? Descended from Uchiha Madara? Asked Sasuke while Fu snorted at his attempts at using his clan to get her to see things his way. First off, I don't give a crap about the Uchiha clan. Second, while Uchiha Madara was a strong shinobi of his time, he was also a psychopath, and tried to use a bijou as a weapon. He saw them as slaves to be used for his desires and were considered weapons of war, replied Fu while seeing a small scowl form on Sasuke's face for a brief second. It hadn't been easy to get out of his hospitalized situation, even after his bloodline had been sealed off by the bitch of a Hokage, and tried to pass himself off as a now humble Uchiha who had learned the error of his ways. Of course Sasuke was lying through his teeth, but he figured the people around him were either idiots, or cared about him so they would believe the lies he said no matter what. Sadly, the only one believing his lies was Sakura, who kept trying to petition his release since he was locked away. Fortunately, it seemed he had friends in key places, as his first Yamanaka, who also happened to Yamanaka Inoiki, gave him an evaluation that had been strict with his reports on Sasuke's mental patterns being too unstable. However, the man soon had to go on a long-term mission, and Sasuke got a new evaluator who was much more lenient in his assessment of the Uchiha. With Donzo and the councils pressuring Tsunade based on these new recommendations, she had little choice but to let him free, but the bitch had yet to order Jiraiya to unseal his bloodline. But he would wait. Sasuke could wait, for now. Despite these things, couldn't you at least consider it? My clan is far superior to that of the Aburame clan and I am far superior to that weakling Shino, remarked Sasuke with Fu glaring at him. You call yourself superior while your past actions say otherwise. You left to hunt down Orochimaru so he could give you power. You had to be brought back and had your very bloodline sealed off. As far as I'm concerned, you are not part of the Uchiha clan, and even if you still were, it's not much of a clan anymore, said Fu before she took off and left a fuming Uchiha Sasuke in the process. Bitch. Sooner or later, you will be mine, and your power will be my key to getting my revenge, thought Sasuke while plotting his revenge. A few days later with Naruto, on this particular day, we find our friend Naruto web-slinging through the village, happy as can be, and for good reason too. Deciding to make some extra cash when not taking any missions and keeping his skills sharp in terms of spying, our blonde hero decided to get a job as a freelancing photographer for the Daily Leaf. The job was simple. Get some exclusive pictures to sell to the paper and get paid in cash for their value. With the village constantly being a buzz of activity every day with something new, Naruto had known that there was bound to be something he could get a few pictures to sell, and make some nice spending money for himself. Plus it was nice to have an emergency fund for the various special occasions he had with his wives and servants. Today's pictures he got? Well, he sent them to the newspaper earlier today and was now waiting for the paperboy selling them on the street to announce the leading story. Extra. Read all about it. Inuzuka Kiba from the Inuzuka clan caught stealing and wearing women's undergarments. Pictures show proof of thief-taking and trying on ladies' unmentionables. Read all about it, shouted the paper boy holding the paper and waving it around for anyone passing to possibly buy. Sure enough, the people came running to read on the latest gossip, and speculation the paper launched with the pictures to back it up. The women gasped, fearing their own unmentionables might be next, the men gagged at the pictures with disgust, and were wondering why someone like Kiba was a shinobi of Konoha. Naruto smirked underneath his humanized venom form while trying to keep the evil laughter from escaping his lips. Kiba had indeed done what some of the pictures Naruto had taken clearly suggested, but it wasn't a cross-dressing thing like some would no doubt assume with the various pictures taken. What really happened was Kiba had decided to go skinny dipping in a lake instead of doing guard duty, which he had Akamaru do using his henge while thinking no one would be able to tell so long as no one talked to the dog henged as Kiba. Naruto knew Kiba was supposed to be on guard duty that day, and since the Kiba assigned to the task was not the actual Kiba himself. When Naruto dispersed the henge, he brought the dog to Tsunade, and had Tsume do a translation of where Kiba was at the moment. Naturally, it pissed both women off to no end that Kiba was neglecting his duties, and thinking he could get away with it. So they turned to Naruto to fix this little problem in his own unique Uzumaki-style manner and make Kiba regret ever shirking his assigned duties, no matter how boring and degrading it may be to him. So Naruto came up with an ingenious, if somewhat evil plan, which he told both women since they would need to know just how far this punishment for Kiba was going to go, and also because Tsume was the moron's mother. The last thing Naruto wanted was to do something that Tsume would not approve of and cause further problems now that the past between their clans was officially behind them. The plan itself? Go to Kiba's little lake area, steal his clothing, but leave a trail for him to follow, and get everything taken except his underwear. That item Naruto had wrapped in a giant ball of webbing before having a shadow clone take it away to be destroyed in a separate location. Now normally, a person in Kiba's situation would think I can just go commando and ignore the loss of underwear, but the problem with that had been the noticeable hole Naruto had accidentally made along S area, and would be unable to hide it when making the trip back to his home for a fresh pair. He would need something of a similar color to his pants to mask the sizable hole in his pants and not explain to his mother where he got said hole. Not to mention Hana would never let him live it down if she found out. By the time Kiba was able to find something he could use to wear, it was a pair of panties on a clothesline of home when he made it in Konoha, but his home was all the way on the other side of the village, and to make matters worse for Kiba, though he didn't know it at the time, the panties he stole? They belonged to one Nara Yoshino, Shikamaru's mother. And now we play the waiting game, said Naruto to himself, Venom, and Kurama, with all three of them forming an evil smile within his mind. Kurama and Venom actually did do the whole evil laughter thing in his head. Help! Help me! She's fucking crazy, yelled Kiba, as he was running through Konoha, running for his life to be exact, and for good reason since the Inuzuka was being chased throughout the village. The name of his pursuer? Nara Yoshino. You guessed it. Shikamaru's mother. Get back here, you pervert. You panty-stealing, panty-wearing pervert, yelled Yoshino, who had been chasing the Inuzuka with the biggest fucking frying pan anyone had ever seen. Did I mention it had barbed wire around it with spikes around the outer circle? It looked like something a medieval woman, possibly Yoshino's ancestor, would have wielded, and used as a weapon against intruders. And most likely her lazy sloth of a husband too. It wasn't me. I was framed, yelled Kiba in protest while dodging a swing of Yoshino's weapon by the angry woman. I'll show you framed when I rip your dick off and mount it on my wall, yelled Yoshino while intending to carry out her threat no matter what. Should we feel bad for him? Asked Venom curiously while watching things from Naruto's point of view and Kurama seeing it on a screen the boy manifested in his mind. After all the crap he's pulled with the women in our lives, would you? Asked Naruto in his head with Venom and Kurama looking at each other for a second. No. Replied the two at the same time. And there is your answer, thought Naruto while petting his camera in hand, knowing it would have many more adventures throughout Konoha and possibly other villages too. Many in Konoha, and the world soon started to shiver in fear. Konoha days later, extra. Read all about it. Nara Shikamaru from the Nara clan steals several of his mother's favorite cookies from Forbidden Jar, exclaimed the paper boy while waving the paper around and handed someone a paper after getting paid for it. On the front page showed several pictures of Shikamaru sneaking into the clan kitchen, looking around while standing in front of the cookie glass-based jar. A zoomed-in picture showed said cookie glass-based jar had a property of Nara Yoshino. Do not take or you will die. On it. Another picture showed Shikamaru taking not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4, but 5 cookies, and putting one in his mouth with 2 in each hand before sneaking off again. The pictures showed Shikamaru had quite literally been caught on camera with his hands in his mother's cookie jar. Needless to say, his mother was plenty pissed, and was now hunting for her soon-to-be terrified son. This one we really should feel guilty about. Shikamaru isn't a bad guy, said Venom while Naruto watching Konoha from above on a power line. True, but think of it like a prank. We have to keep our skills sharp. Not to mention we get a lot of experience in the spying and infiltrating a shinobi needs when on missions. We have a reputation to uphold. Besides, this gives Shikamaru his necessary physical exercise for the day, and most likely for the next couple of decades, thought Naruto with Venom and Kurama letting a sweat drop form. He's not that lazy, said Venom with Naruto giving the ink-colored organism a look inside his own head. I once saw Shikamaru muttering troublesome in his sleep while at the academy, and I thought I saw a sleep bubble form over his head showing him sleeping in his dreams too, thought Naruto with Venom and Kurama looking at each other. We retract our previous statement, said Venom while sensing what Naruto did and saw Shikamaru running for his life while his mother was actively pursuing her son to give him his punishment for eating the cookies he knew were just for her. It's a good thing we make sure our identity has been kept out of the public eye regarding those pictures we send to the Daily Leaf. Though I'm surprised no one has put it together since it clearly says below the pictures that it was taken by the Kitsune spider, said Naruto, though it was more to himself than Venom or Kurama. That and the only other person within Konoha capable of figuring it out aside from your lovely vixens living at the Namikaze estates is currently being chased by his mother. By the time he figures it out, he should be out of his body cast by then, said Kurama with a chuckle while seeing Yoshino getting closer to her son and unleashing the ever-infamous temper of a mother scorned. And we are just getting started, thought Naruto with the three of them letting out another evil laugh within his head. Oh yes. His unique skills within spying, infiltrating, and a camera would definitely earn him a certain level of infamy. Root HQ, Donzo scowled heavily at the report in front of him. He had hoped with his agent from the Yamanaka clan would be able to not only get Sasuke out of his prison, but convince Tsunade that the Uchiha should have his bloodline unsealed. Sadly, his agent was only half successful, which would normally result in a silent death untraceable to him. But Donzo didn't expect the Hokage to do it, and his Yamanaka was still useful in being able to talk into the Uchiha's ear. Since Donzo controlled the voice of the Yamanaka, it would be his words, his specific suggestions, and his influence that would be placed into the Uchiha's head. Meaning with the right manipulation, Sasuke would be his future weapon against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki once the boy's bloodline was unsealed, and made it fully develop. If worse came to worse after enough time went by with no change in unsealing Sasuke's Sharingan, Donzo was prepared to use other means of giving the boy his birthright. Meaning he would have to dip into his Sharingan reserves and perform surgery on Sasuke when the boy least suspected it. Since everyone in the Uchiha had the same dark eyes, Sasuke would never know about it, and Donzo could easily lie saying he unsealed the Sharingan when the boy asked about it when the time came. The old war hawk had no reason to believe the Sharingan eyes from another Uchiha would be rejected once put in Sasuke since he came from the clan itself. But again, it was a move to be used as a last resort. The Akatsuki are on the move it seems. They've taken the two Jinchuriki from Iwa and Kiri has a new Mizukage after their previous one died almost 3 years ago. The bijou will not materialize for a little while longer, which means a sealing team could possibly capture the creature to make another Jinchuriki shortly after it forms. Prepare one once we have its location, commanded Donzo to his nearby Root Onbu. Yes Donzo-sama, said the Root Onbu before vanishing into the shadows. We have a total of 3 Jinchuriki in our possession, but Tsunade won't use them like they are meant to be used. Damn her. At least, my agent in the Aburame clan can keep an eye on the 7 tails, and feed me information about her actions, thought Donzo while looking over reports regarding sound and how Kabuto was running it now that Orochimaru was gone. The man was as slippery, if not more than his master had been when alive, and would become a possible threat to Konoha in the future. Not surprising since he had been one of the old War Hawk's best agents before that major event of that one specific mission to Suna prior to the boy joining Orochimaru. How his former subordinate that was the Snake Sanin learned of Kabuto's mission in Suna and successfully poached him from his ranks, the War Hawk would never know, and it irked the old man to no end. While Donzo would never admit it to anyone, he did have a hand in Orochimaru's twisted dark way of seeing things in life. Did Donzo regret it? No. Why should he? It was all for the good of Konoha and didn't care about what his action did to others so long as they were useful to him. As far as he was concerned, every life with the exception of his own, existed to serve him, and would be thrown away when their value to his cause had run its course. He planned to one day become a god of this world, and a god had no need for any form of mortal attachments like those of the simple-minded pawns around him. How do you wish to proceed with the Akatsuki organization and their movements now aimed at the Jinchuriki Donzo-sama? Asked a Root Onbu curiously. Simple. We use this information to make the Hokage weaponize our Jinchuriki for war and use them like they were always meant to be used. Make sure this reaches Jiraiya and the council's ears. I expect a meeting to happen soon to address this matter further and I will use it to my advantage, commanded Donzo before handing the report to his drone of a subordinate and saw him leave to carry out the assignment. Tsunade would use Konoha's 3 Jinchuriki like he wanted them to be used whether she personally wanted them to act like it or not. Thanks for listening to the Maybe What If Naruto Gain a Symbiote finale, and remember, the disrespect is real. Goodbye.